Nice plane. I feel the need for speed. You know, Larry, they do charge people for saying quotes from that movie. So, you now owe me $5. Let me go find my wallet. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And we're looking at a rather fantastic Lego build this time around. This is the Skystriker, the familiar G.I. Joe attack aircraft. Of course, the Skystriker takes its likeness primarily from the F-14 Tomcat and serves pretty much a similar role. It is intended to be a carrier-launched fighter jet. But of course, more than the design goes into it, since the toy is even labeled as the XP-14. Some of the lore seems to indicate that the Skystriker is an experimental model of the F-14 that has been commissioned for use by G.I. Joe. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but an interesting take nonetheless. This, of course, was a set designed by the good folks at the Store Envy location, G1er, who unfortunately shut down the business last year. This is one of the big models that I was able to obtain before they shut down. And it is a pretty good likeness to its toy counterpart, as it also does feature one of the hallmarks of the toy. The toy did have a lever on its underside that would allow you to adjust the wings and landing gear simultaneously. Now, while the Lego version here does not allow for the landing gear to shift, it does, however, have a lever that will move the wings. This lever positioned right here in between the tail allows the wings to seamlessly move out or in. The difficulty with it is that the piece tends to come off. This Technic piece here that we're using as the lever can come off. There is nothing to keep it from just coming off there. Plus, the other fact is that since the missiles are made of so many different parts, gripping onto this thing is a bit of a chore, because it's almost impossible not to knock something off. But we'll allow you folks here to get a good look at the underside of it. It's like on the original toy, the Skystriker does have 6 missiles on it, and a central located drop tank. The Skystriker is a very prominent plane in G.I. Joe lore, since it was the first fighter jet incorporated for G.I. Joe. There's a lot of people that say that Top Gun had a lot of influence for it, but Top Gun came out in 1986. The Skystriker was released in 1983. And at that time, Hasbro only kept toys on the shelves for 2 years. So, the Skystriker would have been off the shelves by the time Top Gun came out. However, about 2 or 3 years later, there would be a Night Force version of the Skystriker, which would release it in solid black. It has continued its prominence through the years, being shown with numerous toys of it available. I know Mega Bloks is about to make their own version of the Skystriker. However, I doubt it'll be as large and imposing as this thing is, but it is nice to see that its legacy does continue. But of course, its legacy cannot be understated due to how often it has appeared throughout the media. As it has even appeared in a couple of times as crossovers with the Transformers, which there are 2 sets that have been sold like that. They use the Skystriker mold so the toy doesn't transform, but it is interesting to see that it went that route. One of them is done as Starscream, which also included Cobra Commander as its pilot. Which definitely, for a lot of fans, that would have been a fun tribute to voice actor Chris Latta, who voiced both Starscream and Cobra Commander. And then later on, they did one for Jetfire. Which, of course, Jetfire is based off of the Valkyrie battle droid seen in the anime Macross, also known as the Veritech fighter from Robotech. And those jets were clearly inspired by the F-14 Tomcat, where the Skystriker gets its likeness. Now, of course, some of the other features that this version of the Skystriker has is it does have the removable engine covers. Although I doubt this is basically the engines, but basically it had a couple of spots at about this point that you could remove so that it can maybe look like that people were doing maintenance on the plane. So that's nice that the G1er folks included that. Plus we do have a cockpit that can hold minifigs. Unfortunately, it does not have parachutes like the original Skystriker toy did. At the moment, I've only got one figure in here. I haven't found a good co-pilot yet, but I did pick up the Creon of Ace. It was sold with the Ghost Striker, which wasn't too bad for him to do, since a version of Ace did come with the Ghost Striker. However, he was not using this uniform when he flew the Ghost Striker. So I guess I've corrected that on Hasbro's part. It is a bit of a tight fit for a minifig in here. But at least thanks to the fact that his arms can move, that does help it a little bit. There we go. He also solved the problem with getting the cockpit closed. All in all, this was this was made with several hundred Lego pieces. And when they were retailing it, it sold for about $100 on their website. So yeah, this was expensive. But it's a very nice rendition of the fighter jet. And I gotta say, I definitely like it. Maybe one of these days I'm gonna sit with my design program and see if I can design some of the others. Then maybe see if I can find a way to get some stickers on this bad boy, because it looks kind of plain without them. And I think it could use them to spice it up a bit. Though I will give the G1er folks some credit for adding on the flame detail. For the engines, that was a nice touch. But at any rate, let me know what you think, folks. Because I'd certainly love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. So until next time, this is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.